So I wanted to read to you something that I wrote, just reflections that I wrote and stuff that I wrote to family. And I wanted to share with you some reflections that I wrote on Grandpa. Some of my family has heard this already, but Dina is hearing it for the first time. So here we go. And I specifically wanted to write this before the funeral today because I wanted it to be my words. And I didn't want to be influenced by any other words that are written. So in order to ensure that it's as authentic as can be, I wrote it before anyone else. Okay, Dina hasn't heard it yet. So Grandpa was the most unique person I ever met. The way Torah blended into his personality was so real and authentic. While I've had Rebbeim who had this type of blend, Grandpa stood out because of his personality. He carried Torah with a show business personality, expressed in his humor and even tone of voice. Torah personified this unique personality. It's impossible to comprehend how this translates itself in real life through imagination alone. You need to meet him. And to those of you that didn't, you missed out. Every family's simcha was like a continuous shir, a radio show style, entertaining, yet deeply serious, humorous, but deeply spiritual. When I say serious, I mean focused on Torah. There are people who live with joy, then there are people who are joy. Grandpa was joy. His humor was not a part of his personality. It was so much more. It was integrated into his essence. He brought light into a room just by being himself, making Yiddishkeit look beautiful as the most natural, life-giving path a person could walk. In Chicago, everybody knew Grandpa. People would ask me who I was, and I'd say I'm married to the granddaughter of Sheldon Kirshner. That was all it took. He was known by everyone, across every sect of Orthodoxy, Hasidic, Haredi, Tzioni. He related to them all. He was a Talmud Chacham, especially in Tanakh, with a special love for the Malbim's commentary. For Parnassa, he worked as an electrician, designing complex traffic light patterns for the city. But he was not an electrician who happened to learn. He was a Maggid Shir, giving Malbim Shiurim in shuls in the community throughout the week. He was a Torah teacher who worked in electricity to support his family. He also did a lot of chesed with his electrician skills, helping people, making it cheaper for people who weren't able to afford what the full price would have been. Sometimes people think religious Jews are deprived of the pleasures of life. But Grandpa made Yiddishkeit so geschmack, so fulfilling, that it became clear if there was any deprivation, it was on the other side. He approached life with a tmimistic, a wholesome sincerity. One of the most beautiful examples of this was his wedding to Bubby. It was in a basement with no guests. This authentic Torah was passed on to each of his 7 children. There are many ways to tell whether the Torah is being transmitted and lived in a way that is authentic, part and parcel of their personality. And there are ways to tell whether the parents are being mechanech each child in a way that Torah is sweet to them. One of the biggest proofs to me is not just the fact that all children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren are Shomer Torah and mitzvos, but all of them have a simchas achayim and have chosen a path that is unique from each other. Not only that, but at times they even chose a different sect of Orthodoxy. Grandpa supported each path. And the love for Torah didn't stop at observance. It extended into learning and a passion for teaching. He was the life of every party, the center of every kiddush. It's hard to picture a Kirshner simcha without him. People often say when someone passes, they'll be missed, or there will be an empty seat at the table. And while those words are always true, they don't come close to describing the loss we feel with Grandpa. This is a loss felt deeply across multiple generations. The Kirshner extended family was like immediate family. And this was well known across the city, by the way. And I was told this even before I got married into the family. I'm going to finish what I wrote, but I'm going to add some words of my own over here. The words that I wrote here are my own, but I'm going to add more words off script in a minute. Most of us lived nearby. We bonded over simchas and Shabbos meals, over holidays and ordinary days. Grandpa helped prepare so many of the grandchildren for their bar mitzvahs. I would imagine there are great-grandchildren as well great-grandchildren as well, which further bonded their connection. We always say, may the nifter be a melitz yashar, an advocate in heaven for the family. We say it and we hope. But with Grandpa, it's hard to imagine anything but that. You can almost hear him going up to Shemayim and saying, I don't know if these would be the exact words, but you could, this one needs a shidduch, this one a parnasa, this one shalom bayis. I don't think those would be the exact words, but I do think he had a special attachment to the family. He wasn't like that malach type presence, which is just going to go up to Shemayim and see how everything's good and leave it at that. He's going to remember what felt like down here. That's what I think. But because Grandpa cared, he cried from being so deeply real. At every aliyah, the aliyahs he would get, at every simcha, he cried. Everybody knows that. And I'll end with a story. It's a small one, but it captures the spirit. One time after davening in Anshe Matala, the shul where he served as gabbai, that was Anshe Matala, he came over to me and he asked, how's my son doing? You see, I married his granddaughter, so automatically I become his grandson. And if I'm his grandson, naturally my father must be his son. The only thing is, my father was in the same class as him, so my father clearly was not his son. But so I said, he's doing well. Today he's learning Orach HaShulchan, Le'iloi Nishmas, his father. It's the yortzeit of his father. People who overheard were completely confused. Wait, his son is learning? His father's yortzeit? Who's the son again? It didn't make sense, but it made people laugh. And that was Grandpa. Sometimes he created the humor, but sometimes Hashem made the humor. Hashem just made the world funny around him. Perhaps it's because when you make your will his will, he makes his will your will. Aser etzoncha kirtzono, k'dei she'aser etzono kirtzoncha. That's the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Grandpa, we're going to miss you so much. Please be a melitz yosher for the entire Kirshner family, Gershman family, Lefton family, Kleinman family, the other Kirshner family, Newman family, and for all of Klal Yisrael. May your neshama have a true and lofty aliyah. Hamakom Yinachem Eschem V'Sarach Shar Avel Yitzim Yerushalayim. Just to add on a couple more words. Please allow me to share a reflection about the loss that all of us feel and how we may feel it in different ways, but not necessarily less painful, just different. The children and those closest to Grandpa feel the loss most intensely on an emotional level. Dov, you listening? But ultimately, regarding chinuch and the continuity of being Shomrei Torah and mitzvos, the ones who have the greatest loss are the children, like Yerucham Shalom. And Nehemiah may have alluded to this at the Levaya regarding his own children. The first thing Dovi said, it might have been the second thing, I don't know. The first thing Dovi said when he heard about Grandpa's passing, at least in this house, was, I feel so bad for Yerucham Shalom, right? Or did Dovi not say that?
I said that.
When a Dovi said that. When a multi-generational Shomrei Torah u'mitzvos family loses a spiritual powerhouse like Grandpa, we can no longer take anything for granted in transmitting the Masorah. For me, Grandpa's greatest impact on my life was the comfort he brought. The greatest feeling of failure or devastation I would feel in life is if the flame of Torah is not passed on to each of my children. So to me, Grandpa provided a comfort because I had confidence that this flame would be transmitted. Perhaps it was wrong for me to have this confidence, but I did. Grandpa combined the three most essential ingredients in transmitting this flame all into one. The combination of Shabbos, Simcha, and Torah, including Torah Sheba'al Peh, which was being delivered all at once. There are very few families that have this. Very, very few. Our community here in Chicago has been blessed with expert mechanchen. And we've been blessed with kehilos that create a Shabbos Svivov of the highest quality ruach. And to me that shul is Kal Chasidim, which I don't even daven at anymore, but almost everybody remains from, to my knowledge, but not everyone. It's been said that more important than the Jews keeping Shabbos is the way Shabbos has kept the Jews. Torah Sheba'al Peh is also of a similar theme. And with school comes resentment. Grandpa's family had a 100% success rate in observance. With him gone, the parents of the children that will never have lived through such experience are the ones that have every right to feel fear and are not only well justified. The fear is appropriate and is an indicator that you care about Torah and are in touch with the bitter gullus that we are in. The daily spiritual attacks on Yiddishkeit, they continuously get stronger in our generation, the Ikvus of the Mashiach. Grandpa was a pillar, a foundation that has been removed. Those of us that had him as a Rebbe or father or grandfather are most fortunate. The hopeful message is that after someone is nifter, their good midos are like hefker. So perhaps we could bring some of it back into the family. I wish I could end off on a good note, but our loss is very real. May Hashem comfort the Avelim. May Hashem watch over the younger generations and guide them in the path of Torah in a way that this flame is transmitted. After davening at Anshe Matala's hall, no, this is a poem. This is the same story, but a poem. After davening at Anshe Matala's hall, he asked me gently, not odd at all, "How's my son doing?" he said with delight. "You see, I'm his grandson by marriage's right. So my father by logic became his own, even though they'd grown up in the same zone." I smiled and replied, "He's learning today. It's the yortzeit of his dad, so he's learning away." People nearby just stood there confused, but Grandpa, of course, was deeply amused. Sometimes he crafted the humor he brought, and sometimes Hashem, with a wink, just taught. When one lives with simcha, with Torah and cheer, the Ribbono Shel Olam makes laughter appear. Grandpa will miss you more than words show. Your wisdom, your warmth, your spiritual glow. Please be our Melitz Yosher, guide us with love, and may your neshama rise gently above.